Hey, come catch this wave with the Fixx squad. The Fixx is in. I'm Mr. Soul, I'm tuning in. What you doing?
Stand up. James left, but the king still reigns here. No tears, no love lost, no rain here. Delivers, I promise, Santa rain here. Love for the city still resides here. Fix for your ailment, faith that resides outside the lines. Detox your mind, cause it matters. Art outside the box, we paste better. The Fixx is in, and we rock a chin, or we rock with them for what's deep within. Expose those who talk but don't live. Expose those who talk but don't live. Take offense. Judge by the fruit from the tree, but if the fruit.
You tune back into the Fixx, your source of faith-infused hip-hop, R&B, and poetry, right here on Siriusxm, channel 154, Holy Culture Radio. It's your boy DJ Focus checking back in. And listen, you guys are in for a treat today. When I say I got one of the singing powerhouses in gospel right now on the line, I promise you, it's one of those things you just know when you hear that voice. That is just a blessing from God. And listen, she comes from a singing family. Stop playing. I don't know if it's time yet to call them legends yet, but they've been doing it at a high level for a long, long time. So listen, help me welcome in one of the members of the Walls group, Ahjah Walls. What's going on, sis?
Hey, how are you? I'm really happy to be here.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, sis. So listen, let's get to it. Can you share a little bit of your faith story with the people? Maybe how you developed your own personal relationship with Christ?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can actually. I feel like it started for me when I was around maybe like 4 years old, honestly. I was very I guess advanced for my age. Like I could talk at like 2 and like full sentences. My mom used to always say like I was so smart. But I struggled my whole life with insomnia really bad. And my parents hate for me to tell this story, but it's just, it's the truth, whatever. My dad was an alcoholic growing up. So at night was like when things in our household would just get real chaotic. You know what I'm saying? We didn't know what he was going to come home on. And living that type of lifestyle when I was so like aware consciously, but not really knowing like what was going on, I didn't have much security. You know what I'm saying? Or I didn't feel very safe. So I struggled to sleep because I didn't feel very safe. So for years on years, like I would pray this one prayer. I don't know why I knew this one prayer at like 4 years old, but I would pray like, now God lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. Because I didn't know much about God, but from what I heard growing up, in church and my mom being a minister of music, if you pray, you good. So I'm just like, I don't know what's gonna happen to me, but I know that I want to be with God. Like I know I want to be with Christ. So growing up, I didn't like really care that much about church. I became kind of like an angry, recluse type of kid. And so I spent all my time by myself, trying to figure my thoughts out, trying to like keep a leash on myself basically. Cause I was really like, my mom calls it criminally bad. I was sneaky, just always be up to something, you know what I'm saying? So I maybe got to the point where maybe I was maybe 12 or 13. Yeah, I was 13. I started high school at 13. And I don't know, I was looking for love in all the wrong places. Growing up, my dad, after he had stopped drinking and, stopped doing all the other stuff, he still was a very angry guy. And so there was not a lot of like love in my household. We didn't tell each other, I love you. My older siblings, like they were off in their own world. I was off in my own world. So it was very lonely, I'll say. And I didn't really like people. It's like I would go to school and come home and that was my life. I didn't have very much freedom, nothing. So I kind of felt like a prisoner, like in my own house. So I remember I started dating a boy, woo. And got my heart broken to smithereens. And at that point, I remember being mad. And I know who I was mad at, but I was just mad. Like, my life sucks and I cannot believe, like, I can't get nothing right. Like, everything is just trash. And by this point, we had started the Walls group and I had been singing for like 2 years. And it was just something I did to get my parents off my back, I didn't want them nagging me and, going off. I just didn't want any problems. So I would sing and I would come home and it's just what I did. But it became deeper to me when I got my heart broken. I remember I didn't know much, but I knew after I'd been baptized at 12, like, maybe I should, try to figure out something deeper. So I remember praying this night just being fed up with my life. And I remember just praying to the Lord and just asking him they're just telling him, like, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. You know what I'm saying? I don't think my life is fair. And for the first time in my life, after praying this prayer, I fell into like a deep sleep, and which was common for me because I was an insomniac, So the very first thing that God gave me was rest. And I realized that it couldn't have come from anywhere else because on my own, I can't sleep. I never felt safe enough to sleep. I didn't even have time to overthink myself out of a good night's rest after praying this prayer. Wow. So I and if you ask God for something, he'll really give it to you. Like, wow, God really answers prayers. And so I started after this point to like want to get close to God, like almost cling to him, because if you'll give me rest, what else will you give me? And right. So at first in my adolescent mind, I would think of God like I need something, I'll ask him for it. But as I grew older, my relationship started to progress to where as I allowed him to take hold of me spiritually and mentally, I allowed him to compartmentalize my mind. So I was an overthinker. I was an anxious kid. I was angry. I was just so full of, I had ADD really bad, so my mind would wander and I would just feel so out of control. God gave me peace in my mind first. And so once I realized that these are the things he was giving me, I wanted to go deeper with him. I would start to ask him questions about stuff. When I tell you the Lord became my best friend, and this is coming from an introvert who doesn't talk to anybody, who barely has any friends at school, who doesn't really talk to her older siblings, or really talk to my parents at all. I just started to talk to God about everything. And I remember like, at first it was like, oh, I could talk to God, but then it was like, oh, he talks back. Like he would start to see dreams. Like I remember I stole one of Daryl's devotionals. And that's when I started to get into reading the word, and the words like jumped off the page to me. It was like, bro, this is what I've been missing all my life. Like I always felt so out of place. And so I felt right at home, sitting in my room, talking to God, reading about him, studying him. And now at 24, this has been my life.
No, that's amazing. And thanks for sharing that, sis. Did while you were going through that, was there ever a time where like music was your outlet? Because like when I hear you sing, like it's the form of it's like a form of worship, but like was that like therapeutic for you? Sometimes like when you guys would go perform, could you like release some of your worries and anxiety then?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Music was one of the ways I could communicate like what I was feeling or put it into not even cohesive words, but sounds. And it was more than a release for me. It was like, once I released it for myself, I could see that other people were being released from other things as well. So God was using me before I even said yes fully. You know what I'm saying? And not just using me for other people, but using my gift to really help me. Like I remember being in a awful relationship in my teens, man. And I wanted to be free so bad, but I just didn't know how. And I remember being on stage every night or every other night, like crying out to God. And after months of being released and releasing this pain and anguish and confusion, I started to feel different. You know what I'm saying? To the point where I finally could be like, I'm going to let this go and trust God with the rest. So absolutely, music was my escape. Listening to music, writing music, singing music, all of it.
So come on, let's talk about some of your musical inspirations growing up. I'm dying to know, like, come on, when you was in high school, who were the ones that kind of helped shape your voice and your talent to where it is?
Oh man, Brandy was number one.
I hear that. Absolutely.
I couldn't sing growing up like the rest of my siblings. It came naturally for them. I didn't understand my voice. I didn't like it. I didn't know really what to do with it. It didn't sound like anybody's I'd ever heard before. So when I discovered Brandy, my life changed because not only did she sound like me, like she was really, really good. And so I remember studying her over and over and over again. Frank Ocean, before he was Frank Ocean, he was Lonnie Bro. And he had mixtape that he released before he was like mainstream, that I would study like these songs and the way he would his instrumentation. I would study that. Jasmine Sullivan, from her Apollo days to growing up, then listening to what song was it? In Love with Another Man. It's not necessarily the song, the words of the song. It was her voice. It was the passion you heard in her in music. Like, I was like, oh yeah, I can get behind this. Aretha Franklin. Oh my gosh, she's my absolute time favorite. Mariah Carey was a huge inspiration for me growing up. It's actually crazy because most people really wouldn't know because I sing alto, but I'm actually a lazy soprano. And I have a whistle tone that I never use. But Mariah Carey was like the end all be all for me as a little girl. Like, We Belong Together was my song. Like, I used to sing it over and over and over again, trying to get her lead the way, trying to get her runs just right. Like Usher as well. Usher was my top. He was the way he structured his songs, the way I used to overanalyze songs. Like, I was like OCD about listening to a song 1,000 times. Because the first time I listened to it, I listened to the lead. Second time I listened to the soprano parts. Third time I listened to the alto parts. Fourth time I listened to the tenor parts. Fifth time I listened to them all together. Sixth time I listened to the instruments and whatever I could wrap my brain around and imitate. Because that's how I learned to sing, is I would imitate what I would hear. And that was what made me me.
Listen, that's fire. Listen, DJ Focus, you tuned into the Fixx right now. Your source for faith-infused hip-hop, R&B, and poetry. Listen, talking with the talented Ahjah Walls. We got to go to break. Keep it locked. You tuned into the Fixx. You know the Fixx is in.
Holy Culture Radio. We're not just background noise. We play the music that inspires you, because every song has a story. Christian hip-hop and R&B music and talk on Siriusxm channel 154, 24 hours a day. Holy Culture Radio is changing the game. Discussions about faith, arts, vocation, and education. We talk about the real issues that affect our communities and work together to find solutions. Join the discussion at holyculture.net and be heard.
You tune back into the Fixx, your source for faith-infused hip-hop, R&B, and poetry, right here on Siriusxm, channel 154, Holy Culture Radio, DJ Focus. And listen, I got the singing powerhouse right here, just, dropping these little gems and just sharing her life journey with us, Ahjah Walls. Listen, I have to know, like, you got to take us through a little bit of the journey. What's it like being in a group with your siblings? Like, I'm one of, let's be very clear, I'm one of four. And I just know all the arguments and all the fights that I had growing up. So I'm just trying to figure out, when y'all go in the studio and make a song, like, I know it has to be some like, no, add that. No, don't do that. No, come on and let's talk about it a little bit. What's it like for you guys to make a song? And just, just talk about just your overall experience of being in a group with your siblings.
Man, so I'm the youngest out of us four, but there are 8 of us total. So that dynamic is like, oh man, I don't even know how to describe it. When God raises you up amongst people, he doesn't care who it is, even if you do. So having to battle your own ego and your own pride while other people may or may not be battling theirs that day, you're gonna run into some problems. So we're professionals. Like, when you see us, we won't be fighting in front of you. The people around us have to worry about whether or not we're going to be fighting before or after. And it gets intense. But I will say, professionalism, I guess, the professionalism that we've learned really has helped us even in our relationships with each other. I'm big on respect, and being the youngest and the smallest, like, my mom calls it little man syndrome, but I'm big on respect. So if I feel disrespected, and I'm working on this, so pray for me, y'all. But when I feel disrespected, like, I want to fight. So you know what I'm saying? And so my other siblings, like Daryl, it takes a lot for him to go there. It takes a lot for him to go there. Like, he's the one that'll be ducked off in his own little corner, maybe laugh it off. Rhea is like trying to be the mom of the group, which is not respected at all. Paco,
wow,
he's a firecracker, and if he goes off, it'll set everybody else off. So it used to be like, maybe my attitude wasn't so good because maybe I'm not in the mood, so I stay away. and I won't try to fight. But if you try me, I'm going there with you. So it's not hard working with each other because we do all have the same goal in mind and we do all want to see each other win. So it's just not terrible. You know what I'm saying? But there are those moments where like one of us quits every other month. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, I'm done with y'all. Over it. We're done.
Right.
But I mean, God doesn't allow for our pettiness to come his will. It's going to be accomplished whether you go out kicking and screaming or whether you go willingly. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be accomplished. So I'm learning how to go with his flow and not fighting against it.
What has been your best experience so far being in the group? I mean, you guys have hit every stage that you can think about. What has been your best experience for you personally? What was that one thing that was like, this was really dear to my heart? I was grateful that we were a part of this.
So we recently did Tasha Cobb's live album. And being in an industry where you were maybe not so welcomed from the beginning and even now, and for somebody that you have loved for years, since Tasha Cobbs came on the scene, I think we all came on the scene at the same time. I even have the old pictures. I might email them to you so you can see them. But she has been so consistent in her love and support and just extending her hand to us because, we've been in the game a long time, but we're still like very young, and I would say that not everybody, but a couple of people have not been so like welcoming and kind and warm. She's always had the same energy. So for her to invite us to her live recording, and when I tell you she went all out to make sure that we were comfortable, more than comfortable, just being able to worship with her and experiencing just the Tasha we know, it really just, it moved my heart. I'm very wary of people. And so she's always been very constant and consistent on a very personal level too. It's not just for cameras, but she's the type to reach out to you, text you, hit you up like, I'm thinking about you. How are you this week? How can I pray for you? And I really appreciate that about her. So that really stands out to me.
What's your spiritual regimen? Like, I just feel your spirit over here. What does your spiritual regimen look like daily? Like, take us through a morning of prayer or your spiritual regimen for the day that keeps you right where you need to be with God.
I wake up and I pray. I start my morning off thanking God, talking to God, making sure my mind is in the right place, because gratefulness is the perfect antidote to any negative feelings that you might be feeling. Maybe I woke up and had a really bad dream, or, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I wasn't feeling so hot the night before. And I actually got into the habit of playing scriptures as I'm going to sleep. If I leave my TV on, I actually play scriptures as I'm going to sleep. So I wake up to scripture. I wake up to pray, and I thank God for where I am in my life. I work out in the morning times, and I pray while I'm working out as well. And prayer to me is really just talking to God. It's become habitual to me. It's like my daily bread. It's something I have to do to keep my mind right, And as I go through my day, I just talk to the Lord, and I always tell people, God is always speaking. He always talks back. And
Right.
so talking, I also make sure I have those moments where I'm sitting still and I'm listening, making sure I can hear from God, making sure I'm making space in my day for him. And that's really it.
No, that's good. That's good. Thanks for sharing. Come on, let's talk about this music now. You got this single out, Can't Get Enough. Can you just talk about the inspiration behind it? And just your creative process with even creating this urban gospel banger. Let's be very clear.
Oh my gosh. Oh, thank you. I want you to know that the only music people are going to ever get from me is the Lord has to tell me to do it. When I say I quit music actually 2 years ago, being in this like industry, I guess this lifestyle can be like really overwhelming. I've been in this since I was 10. I'm now 24, and I'm an introvert. I like my space. I like, having clear boundaries between my life and everything else. And walking with God, I wanted to quit music. I was going through a lot in my life like 2 years ago with my family, and just with God restructuring my life and really showing me who I am. and I dropped a lot of things. And to me, music was something that I just didn't see for myself. And so as I was getting rid of things in my life, detoxing, if you will, and I touched on music, God was like, oh, I gave you that one. And I was like, but what am I supposed to do with it? You know what I'm saying? Because I don't see myself as a traditional gospel artist. I don't see myself as a traditional artist. I see myself as a minister. So the things that I say and what I do and just who I am and how I present myself to the world as someone who represents Christ, like I wanted that to be God ordained only. And so when I wanted to say no to the music part, I really couldn't, because obedience looks like it's not about me anymore. And so the Lord really tested me on that. Like, okay, I'm pushing you here. So are you going to do it? So I procrastinated for years. I wrote that song when I quit music. And right back when I started, I wrote it in my closet, recorded it. I was like, it don't really sound that good, my now manager, Zay, who's great, and I thank God for him, because without him I would still be quit. But he hit me up and was like, I got a studio, let's go record it here. Like, when I say I didn't have any resources, I was broke. I just didn't see a way for me to record it and get it out, and I didn't really care how it would perform, because I didn't really want to do music. So I didn't have the motivation, honestly. But God kept saying yes. God kept saying, like, yeah, this is it. Keep going forward. Keep going. And I'm just like, Lord, like, what do you want from me? Like, I don't understand. So I recorded it at this first studio. I got it back, and it didn't sound right. So for like 2 years, there's a studio in Houston called Lucky Run. And this producer named Eddie Ferguson, I'd worked with him previously for like a music video type thing for Jesus, Oh, What a Wonderful Child. We had worked with him. But past that, I really wasn't interested. My brother kept telling me, hey, you should work with Eddie. You should work with Eddie. You should work with WAKEUP Production. They're a great team. And they know what they're doing. So I hit Ahjah up and I was like, maybe we should try and work with Eddie. Maybe they might, be able to offer us something that maybe nobody else could before. So this is actually this year. Early this year, we finally get in the studio and they hear the song and they're like, oh, we love it. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I've heard that before. Maybe the song is just that good. Like, nobody can really execute it how I hear it in my head. Even I couldn't do it because I'm not a producer. But they heard my rough draft of it. And when they sent me back the track, it was like perfect. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. It sounds so good. Like, I was shook. Like, okay. They were like, yeah, so when do you want to come record it? And I was like, okay, we can do that like ASAP. So when we got in to record it and I met everybody and I got to hear everybody's take on the song and they added all their flavor and their funk, I'm like, well, dang, this don't even sound like the Can't Get Enough that I initially recorded. But when I got in there and I sang it and they finished it, I like fell in love with it. And I was just like, man, like, this is crazy. Like, if God tells you to do it, like, he'll really give you the tools to do it. But as far as inspiration for the song, the songs I write all are like love songs. Cause I hadn't really experienced, love in its full true form until Jesus met me where I was at. You know what I'm saying? So drawing from that and that being the basis of the life that I live and that love really propelling me, pushing me and actually transforming me into a new person, I wanted to put it in song form. And that's how it came to me. Like, I can't get enough, literally. And the way I wrote it, it's like, I don't know. It just was what God gave me. So I'm thinking the whole time, like, nobody's going to really understand the song. Nobody's going to like it. Like, I don't really know. Like, I'm overthinking like crazy. Once I heard it, I was like, yeah, might as well go forward and go forward with it. And I did. And now it's here.
Yeah, it's solid. And I'm excited for you. I can't wait to hear more music. The beautiful thing about gospel music, I love that we're finally getting a chance to hear other forms of the gospel music. I call it urban gospel. Corinne Hawthorne does it. Doe is good at doing it too as well. Yeah. But what I love about the two other people I name outside of you guys all still have a different sound and it's a different lane. So like, I'm excited. Like, if this is what we're going to get on this project, listen, it's over. Like you're going to be a game changer. So I just want you to just be praying right now. Just get ready, because God is about to do some amazing things. And I'm telling you, we're all going to get behind you. Everybody in radio is going to get behind you. I'm telling you, when they finally really hear this song. Yeah, it's amazing. Can we expect a project maybe by the end of this year or early top of the first quarter of 2023? Or are you just, I know you said you kind of just go how God leads you and he gives you that revelation to make something. That's how you making it. So are you just going day by day like that?
I am actually. I actually have a session tomorrow. So as of now, I have like 5 songs that are done. And I thought about just maybe releasing like a 4-song EP. So, I mean, probably end of the year. Probably end of the year. I'm not gonna stall too long because I know for a fact that I've stalled enough. I'm not gonna even lie. I tried to say no, you know what I'm saying, and it just didn't work. So, I've been steadily going with the Lord, and some songs I feel like I might just like give away, but as far as a project from me, I got a good solid like five tracks.
That's a blessing. That's a blessing. Listen, when can we expect? I know you guys, the Walls Group, are working on a new project too as well. Is that dropping soon?
It's done, and we had a release date actually for August 26th, but because of some added stuff and some changes that we actually just talked about today too, that I think they pushed it back to October now, and the latest they said is January, but I'm banking on October. I'm gonna tell people October because I'm ready, and I'm kind of happy that everybody is getting to hear like Crazy and Stand Still, but the album is so different, it's so diverse. It's our senior album, and I think it's the setup for kind of like more of our solo endeavors. So you'll get to hear songs with just me, songs with just Paco, songs with just Rhea, songs with just Daryl. Like this album really pulled, I feel like, a lot out of us. Even me and Paco have a track on there, just us two. And well, for people who've heard it, it's actually a favorite. So I'm really excited about that. And yeah, man, October, I'm pushing for. So I'm glad I got your email because I get to send you some stuff that you can just, vibe out to. Actually, give me some thoughts about, because I really want to know.
Absolutely. I definitely will. Listen, if you could change one thing I've heard from you today is just you continue to talk about the industry. If you could change one thing within gospel music, business, relationship-wise, it doesn't matter. What would that one thing you would change?
Oh, I heard somewhere somebody said that heaven is not a gated community. I would change what would I call it? Like, it's kind of like a clique, in gospel. And it's like, if you're not in, you're basically out. You know what I'm saying? If you're not doing what we're doing, what you're doing really isn't important. I would change the stigma that just because what you're doing doesn't look like what people want it to look like means it's wrong. I want people to understand that gospel music, if somebody's telling you about Jesus, no matter what it sounds like, that's gospel music, period.
Facts. Listen, I got to ask you now before I get you out of here. So yes, of course, we are a Christian hip hop show, and I was at the Stellars this year. Great performance. I'm just being real. I was very geeked up. I got a chance to see Wande, Aaron Cole, Erica Mason, all the artists that we play and we've been supporting and playing for years on the big stage. The first time out of 37 years. And then I'm be honest with you, I know people didn't really pay attention to it, but they did. I was saddened by Ernest Pugh's comments about it turning into the Gospel Hip Hop Awards. Like, I was like, come on now.
A lot of people agree with that. And to me, I will say this. I'm glad that people aren't God. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that God is God alone, because I was excited, like you said, to see Wande, see Aaron Cole, because before they only got love on places like the Devil Wars. They only got love places that, for people who feel like there's no place for you, and for the church to tell you, you're right, this isn't the place for you, because that don't sound like long as I got King Jesus. Now, come on now. And Ernest, I love Ernest, honestly. This is no shade, no tea. But I will just say, you have to be able to expand your thinking, because God sees the heart of somebody. He doesn't see what we see. He sees the heart of somebody. And so if somebody's heart says, this is all I know, this is the music that comes from me, this is actually the gift that God gave me, and this is how he gave me to use it, and I'm going to use it for him, we should be applauding them. This is the same thing that people ostracize us for years, calling us gospel hip-hop hoes, all types of stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just because we didn't come out looking or sounding like what people thought we should look or sound like. So I'm excited to see it. I'm more than excited to see it. I'm expecting to see more of it. And it's natural to want to see more of it. And it's not to say it's to move the other stuff out of the way, but it's to say, to show that God cannot be boxed in. Because he wants to reach every single person he can. It's his will that no man should perish. So if somebody can only listen to Wanda's type of music, and if they hear Jesus, and it's like, this how Jesus followers are stepping, you know what I'm saying? And they're like, man, this is what made me start wanting to get to know about Jesus. She's rapping and she's spitting, and it's crazy, but this is scripture.
Facts.
This is feeding my soul. It's not just making me want to dance, but it's actually feeding my soul. Like, we can't say that just because it's a lot of dancing. David danced. You're supposed to dance. The Lord says dance. Make a joyful noise.
It's an award show. There's supposed to be entertainment. What are we talking about?
Bro, more than entertained. You leave fields.
Yes.
To me, in my opinion, and I'm just going to be very honest, once the lights and the cameras and all that goes off, these people are real people in real life with a real message. Period. No matter if you don't like the way their music sounds, listen to what they're saying. Don't be so close-minded that you miss a good message at all, is the only point I'm making from anybody. The Lord can use and will use anybody.
That's good. That's good. Listen, Ahjah, I got to let you go. I promise you, I got to get you back on. I can't wait till you release your project. I'm definitely going to reach out. Definitely got to get you back on. But tell the people how they can connect with you, how they can follow you on all your social media platforms, and as well, introduce your latest single.
Ooh, okay. Y'all can follow me on everything. I really don't even have anything. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a social media girl. Maybe that'll change in the future. But I do have an Instagram you can follow at AHJ. AAAAHHHHH. So that's 4 A's and 6 H's. Very obnoxious, I know. I do have a YouTube actually that I'm just now revamping, and I'm trying to engage with y'all on there. So we talking about hard topics. Anything you want to talk about, we're going to talk about. We're going to do our research about it. And we're going to give some real truthful, some real tough answers. And stream my new single. Can't get enough. That's it.
Keep it locked. You're tuned into The Fixx. You know The Fixx is in.